My name is Leah. I'm presenting today about building a career as a doc filmmaker. This is actually my third time presenting at Real Voices, so I'm very happy to be here and excited to share with you my experience making a career out of documentaries. We'll get started. So I'll be walking around. So this is me. I'm Leah. I'm a documentary producer and director, mostly based in San Diego. Here we live in North Park. We moved here in 2020. I'm originally from LA area, suburbs, Valley girl. And I own a production company with my husband, Matthew, who is filming me right now. Everyone say hi, Matthew. And together we make original and branded documentaries. And our company is called Sundoc Studios. So I've worked with some brands like 60 Second Docs, BBC, LA Times, Samsung. There's some stuff. This is in Costa Rica. I actually was a cinematographer on this shoot, and I realized that I don't want to be a cinematographer on this shoot. This was in Vegas in 2022. We filmed a jiu-jitsu tournament, and then these are my headshots. Okay, so I thought about what could be fun to show you guys. So I started to think back on my own career through the videos that I made, and sort of like an archive, looking back at your own journey. What are those first videos that you're drawn to or that you make? And so I'm going to be sharing with you a timeline of my career through some videos that really impacted my career. Okay, so this is when I was 18. I went to Louisville High School. It's an all-girls Catholic high school. It looks like I'm about to get married, but I am not. For whatever reason, that was a tradition to wear white gowns and white gloves. So that was me in high school. And I wrote for the school newspaper. I took some of my first video classes. I was always interested in people and just like everyday people, not necessarily, you know, the celebrities necessarily, but like just the person down the street. Like, what is their story? What brings them to today? And so I applied to 12 different colleges for journalism. That was my original thought process when I was in high school. I was like, okay, I really like telling stories. What could I do with that? Maybe some journalism. Maybe I'll report and become a digital journalist. So here's a funny throwback for you all. We're not going to watch the whole thing because I don't want to cringe out of existence. We're going to watch about 40 seconds of it, but I made this video while I was in high school, and it's a little silly. So we'll watch it.
Make it a pizza. Make it a pizza. Here is your pizza from the pizza man. Here is your pie with extra cheese. Here is your pizza from the pizza man. Loaded with everything you please. Here is your pizza from the pizza man. Plenty of sauce and all of these. Salami, pepperoni, mozzarella, provolone. Here's your pie with extra cheese.
Okay, fabulous. I will not bore you with more. But that really shows you, I really had fun making videos. They were super silly. They're not impressive whatsoever. And I would make videos with my friends just around the house doing whatever. And so the beginning of my career, I just had fun making videos. So wanted to show you that. Okay, so when I was 21, so Matt and I have been together now for 8 years. We've been working together for 7 years. We're married for 1 year and been doing documentary for 5 years. So some context as to how long we've been working together. So Matt and I started a social media company basically on our 1 year anniversary. We just started talking about the future, what we were interested in. He was actually on a totally different path. We didn't go to school together. He thought he was going to be a teacher. And we both realized that we really loved photos, we loved videos, and we wanted to figure out how to make a career. And so it was Matt's idea to start a business. And so we thought, you know, there's a lot of local businesses that we're connected to. They have terrible Instagrams, they have terrible Facebooks at the time. That was more so the platform that businesses were using. So we're like, okay, we'll take our photos and videos, we'll pitch it to them, and we can make content for them. So we started an official LLC, and we began building our portfolio of clients. Now this picture here, this is at UCSB. Has anyone been there before? or maybe want to go to UCSB, maybe. So Family Vacation Center, this is basically like a family cruise on land. And Matthew worked there as a counselor first. And then together I worked there as a counselor as well. And they were one of our first clients. So we basically approached them. We had like a formal presentation and we said, hey, we have this company now. We'd love to do some photos and actually just videos, I think. Videos for your camp so that you can promote it on Facebook and promote it on your social platforms. So this is one of our first videos that we got paid for. That's our old logo. Oh my gosh, the memories. Okay. So maybe you can see some improvement now, right? You know, it's maybe not the best video you've ever seen, but you know, you learned something about the camp and it was pretty good, I'd say. And it got 10,000 views on their Facebook, which is, I looked today, it's still the most viewed thing on their Facebook. So they loved it and it was really fun. Okay, so when I was 22, so this is right after I graduated from Chapman University. I studied news and documentary there. And Matthew and I, after doing some social media marketing, we kind of looked at each other, and Matt's like 2 years ahead of me school-wise. And so he had already been living at home with his parents, working on the business. I was finishing up school. And we started to really think about, okay, is this really sustainable? Like doing the social media marketing agency stuff. And we were working on documentaries and we just were really drawn to that format versus figuring out how to take a cute photo of like a health supplement or like something, you know, it just like didn't feel right for us. Like it wasn't really truly aligning. And so we had the idea to instead pivot our business into all documentary content. So we basically pitched our social media clients. We said, hey, look, you pay us the exact same amount. We're gonna go out and add some documentary style videos. And so we kicked off with a road trip all across the US. We went to all 48 contiguous states. Some got more love than others, but that was a really fun experience. And we landed our first branded documentary job through this experience. So I will show you this.
So we were in Kenya 5-6 years ago. And really during that time felt the call to adopt.
You ready? Yeah!
Remember we went to an event, they said there were 600 children in Colorado that day that needed a home. It was their third foster home and we just felt called it was these kids.
You guys not like my ass with the music on it?
I do.
They hadn't had a solid upbringing, so.
Just needed love and boundaries.
And as new parents to them, we were like, what can we do to give them the best start, to help them catch up?
And we've been learning more about the gut-brain connection. We're just so fascinated that we could focus on this area of health and that it would affect our mental well-being. Mentally, one of the first things I felt was just that clarity of mind. Everyone says this is just called mom brain when you're busy with the little kids and it's just normal. No, it's not normal. It's okay if you're there, but we can help with that.
Janelle's ability to handle stress went through the roof. The things that would cause her to crack before, she handled. When we saw Amari and what we'd been studying, and it was like, this is an answer that nobody's got. This is the missing link for a lot of people.
But this is one thing we can help in nurturing them with making sure their bodies were as healthy as possible and helping them to understand this connection between the gut and the brain and be aware of their own mental well-being as well as their physical well-being.
So let's take a look here as we come on for this week, Western European countries.
Who doesn't like happier? You know, more joyful children, and then for us to be happy, more joyful parents, you know, it just builds the family relationship so much more.
I think that servant leader is thinking about their needs. This is not about us or even frankly a rank. We see the potential in each person, and so how can we help them to see that in themselves?
And I think Amari's given us the ability to dream a lot bigger about making a difference in the world for kids. We get to grow from our heart and we get to become even more. And if people can just latch on to the timing is now, not in 3 years, not in 5 years. If you really want to make a massive difference and be part of something when it's starting, now is the time. This month, don't wait, just dive in, go all in.
So getting a little bit better, right? And that's the documentary style content. Any questions so far about anything? Feel free to interrupt me. Any questions so far? Okay, we'll have questions at the end too. Okay, when I was 23, I traveled to Sri Lanka and I independently produced a short documentary about one of the first female Sri Lankan surfers. So this is Sanu here. She was our main character. This is my friend Jordan. We went to film school together and she was the director. And so this was in 2019 and she probably approached me in November and we'd worked together in the past before and she said, Leah, I have this really great documentary idea. I listened to this podcast and there's this organization called Sea Sisters and they help local women like how to swim and surf. Because I guess culturally in Sri Lanka, a lot of women don't know how to even swim. The drowning rates are actually pretty high and their culture has just made it so that it's difficult for women to go out and do sports, in particular surfing. And Jordan is a surfer. I am not really a surfer. I've enjoyed it, but I don't consider myself a professional surfer whatsoever. And so she approached me and said, hey, do you want to come on and be my producer? So at that point, this is our first film out of school. Jordan personally pulled out a $10,000 loan. That's how we afforded to go there. We later on ended up crowdfunding for that I have some materials if anyone's interested about it, I can share with you. But basically, she had the idea, she approached me, and we said, okay, let's do this thing. And she pulled out a personal loan. It was just the two of us that went on site. We were there for about, I think Jordan was there a little bit longer, but maybe everything was shot within 3 to 4 weeks. We had a couple of weeks where we were just really getting to know the culture, getting to know Sanu in person before we, took out the camera. But that was in January, February of 2020. So this is right before the pandemic happened. And so I will share with you, it is now available on LA Times, so it's part of their LA Times Short Docs program. And we'll watch, this is a teaser, so it's a shortened version. It's not necessarily a trailer, but it's just a shortened version that we use to show around to people. This film, the full film, which is about 10, 11 minutes, which I can share the link with all of you to check out, we actually qualified for the 95th Academy Awards, the Oscars. So, thank you. I can talk more about that process, but pretty cool to say. So here you go.
මම හැදුනේ වැලිගම තියෙන පුංචි ගමක. ලංකාවේ දකුණු වෙරළ තීරයේ දිගටම රළමත ලිස්සායාම තියෙනවා. මම දකින විදේශිකයන් ගොඩක් දෙනෙක් රළමත ලිස්සායාම කරනවා. ගැහැණු දිරිම් භේදයකින් තොරව. ඒත් ලංකාවේ පිරිමෑ විතරයි රළමත ලිස්සායාම කරන්නේ. පොඩි කාලේ ඉඳලම මම දැකලා නැහැ ලංකාවේ ගැහැණු ළමයි රළමත ලිස්සායාම කරනවා. ගමේ ජීවිතය හරි සරලයි. ඒක සුන්දර ජීවිතයක්. ගැහැණු ළමයින්ගේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දේවල් ගොඩයි. අපි ගෙදර වැඩවලට උදව් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ. රස්සාවක් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ කසාද බැඳලා ළමයි හදලා ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ගෙදරට වෙලාම ඉන්න ඕනලු. ඒත් මගේ හදවත මට කිව්වේ ඒක නෙමෙයි. මම නිදහස්. මට මගේ හදවතට සවන් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපි මුදලාලා වගේ. අපිව නවත්තන්න බෑ.
Yay, clap, yay! Okay, and I'm more than happy to answer more questions at the end too about this. Okay, so age 25 to present. I'm not 30 yet, so I'm under 30. Freelanced for Google Vice, BBC, Overtime, Samsung, Adobe. These are just a few companies that I've freelance produced for mostly. I'm continuing to build Sundoc Studios as a company and a brand. So we have a podcast, which is called Talk Doc to Me podcast. I'll make sure that all y'all have the link. And I also have a YouTube channel where I am uploading about every other week right now, sharing tangible tips about making a career as a documentary filmmaker. So specifically about the producing, specifically about more of like the business client aspect, because I think there's a lot of documentary content out there that's about like what camera you should use or what lighting setup or things like that, which those are totally important. But I think where I'm really passionate about is like gearing you guys up with the tools to actually succeed as a business person as well. So definitely check that out. And then here is a video that was produced by us. So some context here, Service Channel is a company that basically helps restaurants and lots of different businesses who have multiple locations. So take Veggie Grill, for example, that's what this story is about. And they help their facility managers, so like the people that fix their bathrooms, their ventilation, their air conditioning, their refrigerators, things like that. And Service Channel is an app, so it's a technology company, and they basically allow the facility manager of the company to see all the different veggie grills across the country and to be able to say, oh, like my faucet is broken, like I need to hire a plumber or whatever. And so we were hired by them to create a series of videos that are case studies that explain the value of the technology to their company. So here we'll watch. So who funded it? Service Channel is the client, so they were the ones to pay us. And then the story is actually about Veggie Grill though, so they are our character. So I will play this.
For me, Veggie Grill was not just a job ever. I started here as a cashier, busser, and make my way up. There's tons of jobs out there, but it's hard to find something you can feel really good about doing. Veggie Grill, it's a fast casual vegan restaurant. We are 100% plant-based. We're doing something good for the environment, for the animals, for the people. The restaurant business, most of the time when something happens, you need to fix it right away. You can run a restaurant without hot water. You cannot run a restaurant on a hot day without AC. Before we have Service Channel, we are relying on one individual to take care of 30 plus restaurants. Like, what do you do? When Service Channel came and said, like, okay, we can do better, save you money, kind of look at each other and say, sure, that looks amazing. Can you do it? And so far, it's been proving that they're doing it. For me, it's a huge peace of mind to be able to take some time off and not worry about somebody else going to find that information, because everything is inside Service Channel. Most of the problems now are getting done on the first time. That is about 80% better than what we used to have before. And that is huge. average cost on an invoice on our could be about 30% lower now. On service channel, you choose providers by who has the best reviews, who has the best rates, and little by little we learn that this is pretty cool. That makes my life easier, GM life easier, everyone's life easier. That 100% affects the ability of the team to focus on what they are supposed to focus, which is food and the guest. That's it. The ability of having all the information, all the things in the system versus having to be calling people and finding out what's going on with this, what's going on with that. Service channel does play a huge factor because we know now that we can go anywhere and rely on service channel to help us out. For a company that is expanding, that's huge because we only can grow and open more locations.
Claps for Veggie Grill. See, as time goes on, I get more claps, you know? It works out. Okay, so to summarize, and I wanted to just give, you know, you're focusing on your project right now, so maybe this is not even on your mind, but maybe it is. You're thinking about college. How are you going to make a career out of it? Your parents are asking you, how are you going to make a career out of documentary filmmaking? So here are some ways that you can. So one is you can freelance as a filmmaker. So you can honestly start doing this right now. Somebody can hire you and say, hey, I have a dumpling shop. You know, can you make me 5 videos for my Instagram? How much would you charge? Let's see what he says.
What's how many hours am I working though?
Smart. Okay, we'll discuss later. That's smart. Don't give a number right away because I didn't give much info, right? We'll get back to this. So you can freelance as a filmmaker by yourself. That could mean you're a one-man band person, you're making the video, you're doing everything. It could also mean that there is a company out there that just needs you to do one particular role. So, you know, when I worked with Overtime, for example, have you guys heard of Overtime? Yes, maybe, sort of. Some basketball and some sports fans. So I was a cinematographer / like field producer for them. For 2 seasons, we did like a web docu-series. Now, Overtime's a big company. And so they hired me as a freelancer to work on their series about the high school women's basketball at La Jolla Country Day. So we followed them for 2 seasons. If you guys know Jada Williams or Brea Cunningham or Taj Roberts, I filmed with them. And so they were paying me as a freelancer because Overtime's a big company and they needed help. So that's an example of you know, freelancing as a filmmaker. You can start a production company. I don't know if I necessarily recommend starting a production company right out the gate. I think it's very, very difficult. There's, you know, pros and cons to everything. But it is an option. It is what I'm doing. So you can start a production company, and that's where, you know, I hire out other filmmakers. I can bring on more projects, and basically I act as a company more so than an individual person. So it's important if you want to start a production company, you really have to also want to be good at business. If you want to freelance, you want to be an artiste, you want to just make your documentaries and flutter away and not have to answer to everybody, you probably want to freelance and, you know, get an agent and be an artiste more so. If you start a production company, you really do have to have that like business, financial like mindset. Social media and content creation. Y'all know this. You can make money talking about whatever, being a creator. So that is definitely an option. And then work full-time at a company or an agency. So people say like working in-house. So for example, like if Google is hiring somebody, there's a person, like I know of one person, for example, he is an editor at Google full-time. So sure, he might be able to pick up other jobs or something like that, but really he's getting a salary every year for making videos specifically for Google. So you're like, you know, in one solid relationship that you're getting your money from. Or you can work at an agency or at a production company. So Matt and I, we're the only 2 full-time employees, but if we ever do decide to have employees, that would be that kind of situation where you would come work for someone like Matt and myself. We have all the projects and you're working with us full-time and we're giving you a salary or however they decide to break that out. Any questions on, these are like the most common. Any questions on ways to make money? Yeah, take that picture. Show your parents. Any questions about this? Okay, and then here's some things that I'd love to leave with you today. And I think because we have extra time, we're actually going to go a little bit deeper into interview secrets, because I know a lot of you are in the middle of your documentary. You might have a few last interviews that you have to film, so I also want to give you some like tangible tips today as well. But here's some things that I want to leave with you. So one, follow your curiosity. What are you interested in? Is it the antique shop? Is it your own relationship with your grandmother? Is it, you know, whatever you're kind of drawn to, I really encourage you to continue to foster your creativity and or your curiosity, and see where that takes you. Because a lot of times the things that you're interested in, you're also passionate about, and you could, you know, even if it's a world that you've never been a part of, documentary really allows you to go into whatever world. So as you continue to make films in your career, I really encourage you to follow your curiosity. The next thing is network and nurture. So what I mean by this, everyone knows it's important to network and stuff, but what does that actually mean? Like it's not necessarily like going to these little mixers and like saying hi and a little bit and then like you don't talk to them ever again, right? So in this situation right here, you know, I'm a speaker, I came to your class, I'm working in the field. If you want to work in documentary filmmaking, you should stay in contact with me. This is what I did while I was in your seat. I did the exact same thing. Someone came to my class, I liked what they had to say, I liked their work, I follow up with them. I say, hey, you know, can you grab some coffee? Like, can I help you out on a set? Can I, you know, just stay in contact or follow on social media and see, you know, build that relationship. Because a lot of this business is relationships. When a client calls me and they say, hey, I have a big job, like, can you take it? And I say, yes. And then I think about who am I gonna hire now? Oh, wow, I have a big job. Like, I gotta find the right people. And people always think about whoever's top of mind. And so as you continue to make films, hopefully you're posting about it on, you know, your social channels so people can find you. You really want to be top of mind so that your network, your family, your friends, everyone that you talk to will think of you first. Because that's really what happens. Like I get a call and I'm like, man, like who would be good for this? And it's because, you know, the world that we live in is so digital. Like the more people that I see their work, I like what they do, I'm going to think of them more. So definitely, and nurturing your relationships, like even if nothing's going on, like every 6 months, like reach out, say, hey, like you spoke at this class, like how's it going? Like, do you need help with anything? And if you continue to do that, you're gonna have a really strong network in the years to come. And this like never stops. Like you get a different job, or you know, this networking and nurturing, your network is your net worth. Like, I don't know if anyone has heard that before, but basically like it's really important who you surround yourself with, and very, very important to nurture your relationships. Create content. So you guys are making documentaries. I know it's difficult to, you know, you're so focused on making the film itself, right? That sometimes you can't even think about, you know, taking your phone out to get a quick picture or things like that. But it's really important that you document your own story too. And you never know, you can post it on TikTok and blow up. I have no idea. But definitely create content along the way so that people around you know what you're doing. And then the 10,000 hour rule. Does anyone know what this is? Yeah. Do you want to tell us? Putting you on the spot.
It's the idea that if you put 10,000 hours into anything, you'll be great at it, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So it comes from a book by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's called Outliers. And he basically analyzed the top athletes, top performers of different industries, and the common thing that they had was time, like just time spent on your craft, right? So at the beginning of the presentation, you saw my pizza video, right? Like that was terrible, like that sucked, that was not good. And that's fine because I kept putting work in, I kept at it, I stayed focused on doing documentary filmmaking, and over time it got better. So yeah, the 10,000 hour rule, just remind yourself that you're at the beginning of your journey, to not like take yourself too seriously, to have fun with it, and you will get better over time. So don't judge yourself on these like first few videos. You're gonna look back on it one day and maybe giggle or say, wow, I should have filmed that differently, or I should have chose different music or something. But these years are really important for you to follow your curiosity and just put that work in, because you will get better over time. Okay, now questions. Yeah.
Can we watch the rest of the pizza video?
Oh my God. I did not think you were gonna say that. Maybe. I guess I'll leave. Well, maybe that'll be our break. That'll be our break before the next one. So the answer is yes. Okay. Glad you liked it. Yes.
So for the documentary about the surfer, how did the whole like nomination for or like eligibility for the Academy Award thing work?
Yes. So basically what happened is we finished the film. We submitted to a lot of festivals, and it was already in the festival circuit. And how we got into Los Angeles Times was I'm part of this group called Brown Girls Doc Mafia. If you want to join, I can also share a link with you guys. And basically there was a woman that was looking for short docs for the LA Times piece. And it was on a Facebook group. She said, hey, I'm heading up like LA Times short docs. Like, does anyone have finished docs that, you know, they want me to look at? And so we already had a finished film. I sent it to them just with the log line and the link to the film. And we had some conversations. They actually had some revision, so we had to adjust a few things, and then we submitted it to them. Now that got released on their website, and part of the partnership was they were really our advocate. Like, they were like, oh, like, are there any other festivals you want to get into? You know, like, what other goals do you have? Like, it was a partnership where they were really trying to make it so that we could, like, they were guiding us in a way. And so I didn't even know what it took to win an Oscar. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna win an Oscar one day, but I never actually knew the process. And so from my understanding, and I'm sure you can go on the Oscars website too, so don't misquote me if I'm incorrect, but there's a couple of ways that you can get an Oscar. So one is you win an award at one of the like film festivals. So there's certain film festivals that have that little like gold marker that's like Academy Award qualifying. So like you can win an award at a festival. That's like one way. Another way is you can have a theatrical release, which is how we got in. So the Los Angeles Times poured their own money. I had nothing to do with it. They did a like week screening in Los Angeles, and it was paired with a lot of other short documentaries. And so because there was a theatrical release of it, then you can like submit to the Oscars website and be like, okay, it's screened for a week, and like here's my application and things like that. And the LA Times really helped us with that process. It wasn't even on our radar. They were like, you should really apply, you should really apply. And has anyone here watched The Last Repair Shop? Maybe?
I swear, like I heard, is it about like the music one that like they fix the instruments for the schools? Yeah.
They won an Oscar for it, and Los Angeles Times partnered with them. So from the LA Times perspective, they want to win an Oscar too. So they have their own time and resources that they want to pour into your film. So that was super helpful. But yeah, that was, I think, LA Times for it. But those are the two ways that I know that you can apply to be qualified. And for us, like there's a difference between obviously like Oscar winning, right? Like you win the Oscar, okay, that's like best case scenario. And then you have like nominations, right? So I think there's around like 5 or 6 nominations, 5 nominations. And then there's a whole lot of films that are qualified. So the Academy actually watched my film, but it didn't get to the nomination. So I think, I tried to calculate it, but I think we were part of like the top 120 films, something like that. The data is not really readily available, but that kind of gives you the breakdown. So we were part of like the top 120 films instead of like the top 6 or the top 1. Any other questions? Yeah.
I know you majored in journalism, so like, what was the process of getting into like the filmmaking industry, and like, do you think the majoring in journalism helped you get in the industry and like your experience in it?
So yeah, definitely. So when I went to Chapman, so my top school was USC, and I was like, I want to do the journalism program. They have the top journalism program. And then I got rejected from USC, and I got accepted into Chapman, and they offered me a great scholarship. So that's part of the reason why I went there. and I just loved the campus. So I was like, okay, once I got there, I actually came in as a communication studies major, randomly enough, and a journalism minor. And while I was taking some of my first classes, I was like, this is not quite right. Like this isn't very interesting. Like I need to change my major. And so I wanted to stay at Chapman, but I wanted to change my major. So I looked at all the different options for me, and I saw that at Chapman they had something called like at the time like broadcast journalism and documentary. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. And so I actually had a little bit of time being in front of the camera. I'll include that for next time. And I didn't really love it. I really like being behind the camera instead, but I learned a lot of great interviewing tips and just how to like carry yourself that I think still help me today. And then I started taking doc classes, and Chapman's a good film school. So I kept hearing from everyone like, oh, like the film school is so good, whatever. And when I went to a screening of a documentary, I was like, whoa, like that's amazing. Like that's really cool. Like I want to tell stories of that level, because I felt like for journalism, everything was so fast. Like I had to do everything in a week. The stories were assigned to me. I didn't have like really a say over things. And with documentary, I felt like I was able to really hone in on one topic. But yes, I definitely think that journalism helped me in my career. I think it has a lot to do with my writing too. So journalism and documentary have a lot of crossover, but that's how it worked for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any of your own passion projects going on, since you're talking about curiosity?
How much time you got? I got a long slate. Let's see, what will I tell you today? I'll tell you about my short documentary called Kamayan. So it's about the Filipino feast where you eat with your hands. And so there's banana leaves out. Has anyone tried it yet? Yes, only one. Okay, next time we gotta have one. But it's a really colorful, bold feast. And so I wanna do kind of a historical food documentary about the history of it through the eyes of Filipino-American chefs today too. So that was my little pitch for you. That's today. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
What happened to Unreal Stories? Like turned into
Yes. Mariah's a true fan. Okay. So in the beginning, you saw the S'more Media logo when that was the Family Vacation Center. So we started out, our LLC for a long time was S'more Media LLC. And then when we did the transition to documentary filmmaking, we're like, man, like we feel like we outgrew this S'more Media thing, kind of like we didn't like it as much. So then we changed to Unreal Stories, and our tagline was like, real people, unreal stories, and it was UNREEL, and it was like really cool and fancy. And we changed our LLC name, and like we changed everything, like our website, like our branding, everything. And then at the beginning of this year, actually, we started envisioning the future, and our goal is really to get on Netflix and Hulu and be on streaming platforms. And I just started to think like, okay, like Unreal Stories presents, and I was like, I had this like sinking gut in my like feeling, and I was like, okay, I need to like triple check that our name is okay. And this was a mistake of ours. We actually knew this company existed beforehand. There's another company in New York called Unreal Films. And at the time when we made the change, we were like, we're in California, like who cares? Like it's fine, like it doesn't really matter. And legally, like we can name our LLC it's fine. Like there's nothing actually wrong with it. It's just that they had a trademark. And so that means that if we were to get on a Netflix and it said, Unreal Stories presents, and this guy in New York sees it and sees, oh my gosh, like that's my name. Like I trademarked it. What are you talking about? He can basically tell us to like stop doing business as that name. I'm gonna get some water. Okay, then we regrouped. And we're like, oh my gosh, do we need to change our business name again? And so I paid a lawyer $250 to basically make sure that it was the right move before doing it. And when I called the lawyer, he's like, yeah, do you want the bad news or the bad news first? But essentially, we renamed our company after that. We can watch the pizza video and then take a break, yeah.
How much do y'all charge?
Totally depends. Would you like to have a discovery meeting? What I will share though is that recently Matthew and I have been trying to have minimum rates And so, and it's hard. Like, honestly, it's very hard to know how to price yourself. Like, and over time, you can get comfortable in the beginning, of course, like you do it for free, right? And then you charge one client $500 and you're like, nice, I got $500. That feels amazing. Like, I made this cool video. And then, you know, you just keep like adding onto it. So all the time we're trying to raise our rates. And it also depends, over time we've realized that, you know what, like a small boba shop really can't afford our services. Like, it's just not really a good fit. And so it's really understanding what type of projects you want to do. So for us, like, we want to be a high quality, like, boutique documentary production company. And so you're not just hiring one person. So over time, we've had a minimum rate of $5,000. We're trying to raise it to $10,000, eventually $20,000. And so we've had clients do different things, and we try and be flexible to what their actual needs are. But, you know, my advice as you're starting out is, like, always have a minimum price. That way you know, okay, and it can start really low. Like, you've never made a video before, like, hey uncle, give me $100 to edit like this like birthday video. Okay, so now that one person has paid you that $100, your minimum is now $100. And then you keep doing a couple projects, and then now your rate is $250. And you just keep like adding to it. And so I'd recommend that starting out, because it can be really hard to know what to charge. But if you have a minimum and you keep raising it over time, it will help. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, pizza time. Oh, and then there's this. If anyone wants to scan it, this is, who has a LinkedIn here? LinkedIn, yes, point. These people have points, which means I can find them on the internet. So if you don't have a LinkedIn, make one today. Make it really simple. You can connect with me. You can look at my posts. You can get inspiration. But y'all are business professionals. So get on LinkedIn. Find me there. Instagram is there. I do more like food stuff and lifestyle stuff on there, honestly. Podcast, Talk Doc to Me. That is super fun. We have one season. I think there's like 13 episodes already live. They're really great. One episode is about how we crowdfunded $10,000 for the We Are Like Waves film. So if you're interested in crowdfunding, that's a really great listen. And then my YouTube channel, I'd love if you guys would subscribe. I will appreciate that. I'm trying to get it off the ground. I've had a few videos before, but we're really trying to be consistent. And if you have any ideas of videos that you want me to cover, I'm happy to take your suggestions. So these are some QR codes. And then now on to pizza. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm so glad you enjoyed this. And also, fun fact, my professor, Mr. C was his name. He was my physics teacher, I want to say. And this was his song. Like, he's singing. So the guy in the beginning, like, this is his song. He actually comments on my LinkedIn all the time, fun fact. Like, actually. Okay, enjoy. I can't believe we're doing this. This is so cringy.
Mozzarella's nice, have another slice. Hot and stringy stuff, there's never enough pizza to eat. Now my day is complete.
This is ridiculous.
Pizza pie, anchovies please, and too much pepper makes me sneeze. I like it thin, I like it thick, a lot of basil gives a kick.
Can't believe we're watching
Oil, it
this.
does the trick, no artichoke man, plenty of sauce.
Bravo. Okay, maybe we want to take a quick 2-minute break while I pull up the interview secrets. Does that work for you? Yeah. Okay, cool. 2-minute break.